Today, we're going to help you maximize your Black Friday, Cyber Monday results with more traffic to convert higher and then continue that momentum into the new year because we don't want this to just be a little blip. We want this to be part of an ongoing strategy to help you as you maximize your sales.
Awesome. All right. So today we're going to be talking about optimizing direct-to-consumer Shopify sites for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I should mention, I said Shopify. You can have a Wix store, you can have a Google site, you can have a WooCommerce site. Doesn't really matter. All of these principles are going to apply primarily just to your own personal website as well as your kind of social presence as well. So we're going to dive into things along the lines of how to kind of set up your ads and whatnot. For those that are uninitiated or you've never been a part of a Black Friday, Cyber Monday before, especially for your own website, couple of kind of key things within there. 2023 online sales during Black Friday reached 38 billion. So most people probably know what Prime Days are like on Amazon, and that, Amazon typically hits around, 12 to 13 billion for their Prime Days. This is the website side for Prime Days. Definitely something to focus on there. Let's start talking about planning. So one of the major things that I see as something that people tend to kind of mess up on is the actual planning side of things. And timeline really matters. You should begin your planning for Black Friday, Cyber Monday pretty much right now, 3 to 5 weeks ahead of time. It's very important to start planning early and often as to what you're going to be doing. Rushing can lead to a bunch of different issues that I've found, and trying to do last minute optimizations tends to lead to technical difficulties. We're not on Amazon. Anything you do can tend to have a really bad impact. You want to test it ahead of time. It's not as tried and true at the end of the day as, just uploading a brand new image onto a platform. And so the secondary big thing that you need to do ahead of time is your audience segmentation. So for those that are currently selling on your website, have advertising for your website as well, you likely have already some built-in audience groups and some segmenting you can be doing, but this is a great time period to really dive into all of your audiences across your meta advertising very heavily. And large part of that is just from the aspect that you really want to segment well during this time frame. Audience segmentation takes time, and especially if you're looking at doing some retargeting and whatnot. Pulling back from around 180-day date range be a bit difficult. So for anything email marketing related, anything meta advertising related, and even your Google ads, would really encourage people to start your audience segmentation now comparatively to trying to do it as late as a week out. Jumping on in here, we're going to talk about some speed and more so performance optimization. So one of the largest issues that I tend to see people have, especially when they are making any kind of content changes on their website, and we are not immune to this. We have made content changes on our own personal websites as well that have, increased the loading time of our sites immensely. Black Friday shoppers really are thinking in two ways. One, really fast, and two, just purchase on demand. They are currently in a deal and a buying mentality, and so anybody you get onto your site or have the potential to get onto your site, you need to make sure that they are there and they're there quickly. So often do I see people having really slow loading times on their site. If your site takes more than 1 second, typically speaking, to load, you are going to lose roughly 20 to 30% of potential people clicking onto your link. It is going to kill your conversion at the end of the day. Really making sure that you can actually check your site at any point in time for its loading speed, and make sure any of the changes you add to any of your landing pages, your primary just homepage as well, to check every single link ahead of time prior to launching them in any form of advertising campaign. So under 2 seconds is realistically the goal for most brands, for most websites out there, to make sure that you're doing it. Again, it's one of the big things, to check it very often anytime you make any kind of change on the site. Quick thing, I'll actually bounce out of here just to kind of give a live demonstration of this. Super easy way to do this is just to do site speed test into Google. There's this little page speed.web.dev. It's just by Google. You can go to it, put any site in. So if I wanted to check, let's just say ag1.com, you can easily do that. You can check immediately both the mobile side and their desktop side. Looks like AG1, for instance, they failed from it. It takes about 2.8 seconds for their primary content on the site to load. It's a really long time. And so that's one of the major things. At the end of the day, you can essentially look at this, and of course this their old domain, but for their actual desktop side, we're not too far off. So there's just minor changes at the end of the day, and this is more of a technical aspect that you're going to need to be looking at, but still something that I encourage everyone to do ahead of time, especially before adding in any different types of links into any of your CTAs or ads. Next up, Mobile. So mobile traffic is the biggest thing. Doesn't matter if you're on Amazon, doesn't matter if you are on, your website or anything like that. Kevin was talking a little bit earlier about this aspect that in years past people would line up outside of Best Buy and try and buy things. And nowadays Best Buy has a mobile app that people can just download on their phone and purchase from. And that is where people will buy on Black Friday from, right? It's really, really important to be mobile forward in this day and age. And I think it's difficult for a lot of people at the end of the day to see and how to do that, because they look at it and they're like, well, I spend all day on a computer. I'm looking at a computer screen. My site looks fantastic on this computer screen. I'm not, thinking about mobile. And that's why I encourage everyone to think about it. 79% of mobile traffic is the largest amount. So 4 out of 5 individuals basically going to be shopping typically from their mobile device. That means they're going to be shopping on a phone. Anything you do from a content perspective, anything you do on your website, any pictures you show whatsoever should be very forward with this. A big issue that I typically see is that people tend to have way too small on their ad copy of text. And so if you are doing any form of advertising, if you're creating any type of imagery or even a video that's going to be utilized for your advertising during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, really, really encourage you to test that video on your phone. Send that video to yourself or that picture to yourself on your phone. If you have to zoom in on your phone at any point in time, then that is going to be, in my opinion, a bad converting content. So just make sure that you are testing everything on mobile ahead of time, both your website and all of your advertising copy. 68% of mobile conversions check out during Black Friday. It's a really, really big thing. You basically want to make sure that you are very optimized for mobile at the end of the day. That is, again, doing something where you are doing the 9:16 versus doing a 16:9 for any of your content. 16:9 works great if you're looking at a desktop monitor like you probably are for this. Whereas if I had this exact same slide in a mobile version, it would not look like this. I would want to have it directly as an actual mobile version. So very, very important. If you are on Shopify and you have just a Shopify theme, a lot of Shopify themes have a simplistic mobile version, but one of the major problems I tend to see with them is that it cuts off a lot of text. So also check your website on a mobile version prior to anything, especially if you're going to be uploading any form of custom imagery to your site, even if you have just a regular Shopify theme. Next, let's talk about the homepage and hero banners. A lot of people tend to not really think about this aspect at the end of the day, that your homepage really is going to be utilized a lot during Black Friday. It's one of those where people tend to think about landing pages only nowadays. They're thinking, oh, I'm just going to have a direct link landing page for my ad, and so I don't need to worry about anything. I wouldn't do that, especially if you're planning on doing any form of retargeting whatsoever from a Google ad perspective. I wouldn't do that if you're planning on doing a lot of email marketing. The primary reason is that if you have a decent brand loyal following already, and people come to your site and open up your site to your homepage during Black Friday, and you have no verbiage around doing any kind of Black Friday sale, you're going to immediately kill your conversions from that standpoint. And so I encourage everyone to essentially highlight whatever it is that you have as your specific discount, whether that's a site-wide discount, whether it's a range of discounts based on your products. It can be anywhere from 10% to 50%, right? Make sure that that is very, very clear and notated on your homepage. That can be as simple as just doing a hero banner at the top to show that off, or it can be something as complex as you can see over here where the entire page is just Black Friday oriented. This is super important because at the end of the day, your primary homepage CTA is going to basically dictate how anyone who comes to your site organically during this time frame is going to interact with your site. If they do not see that you're running any kind of sale right off the bat, they're likely to leave your site at that point in time. Next, let's talk about some product page conversion tactics. So one of the major things that I tend to see during this, and everyone's been here at some point in time, is this idea of how to actually represent your price and kind of give that idea of FOMO. So there is a really, really big psychological difference for people when they see a direct price discount versus when they see a percentage discount. So the idea of if you are selling a product, let's say for only $20, right? And I say, oh, you're going to get $5 off. That doesn't seem nearly as impactful from a psychological standpoint as saying 25% off site wide, right? That is a much, much bigger psychological impact. And so for all of your ad copy and anything that you're putting out, whether you're doing a flat rate discount across the board for every single product, I encourage you to set up specifically apps for doing only discount percentages. So discount percentages are going to look a lot more impactful at the end of the day comparatively. So then you have essentially your FOMO. FOMO elements are going to be if you're running for just Black Friday, if you're running for just Cyber Monday, make sure people know. You can do this through just Uptick, which is a app on Shopify that will essentially allow you to have a countdown for how long you're doing any type of promotion. I would use anything like that to essentially show off a time frame. And then finally, we're going to talk about some strategic upselling here in a little bit, but lightly touching on it now, the idea of Black Friday, try and get as much cross sale percentage as possible. It's a great time to test out new bundles across the board, especially in any new ad copy across the board. So definitely something I would encourage everyone to do during Black Friday. It's great because it also gives you data going into the future as to specific items people would like to bundle together frequently. Personalization drives revenue. We're talking about ad copy. This is a really, really important thing that I think a lot of people tend to miss out on when we are talking about anything in the actual ads in this day and age. People tend to think Black Friday, oh, I should just make an ad that talks about I'm doing a huge discount for, my brand and all of that. And yeah, you could. But the big thing, especially when we're looking at things like social media advertising, meta advertising, TikTok in general, all of these ad platforms are more personal, right? People are there, it's their personal account. They're trying to essentially just scroll through things. So personalization drives revenue. And what I mean by that is, yes, you can offer customizable products if you're somebody who does that. You can offer exclusive gift sets and things like that. And you can also drive, though, dynamic recommendations. This can be done through audience segmentation, as we talked about at the very beginning. So all of this is going to be one giant aspect that I would do. So the gift sets, it's that bundle and that cross-sell opportunity. Dynamic recommendations comes from actual audience segmentation, something that would really hone in on your ads. And I actually have an example here of an ad that I actually love. And this is one from Chubby's a couple of years ago that I, to this day, just love, where you wouldn't think it when you first see this ad at the end of the day that this is what personalization looks like, but it is, because at the end of the day, what Chubby's is actually kind of showing here is this idea of this is loungewear for the average guy, right? Does the average guy's place look like this? I really hope not. But the idea behind doing any form of personalization in your ad content is exactly like this. You want to, get your customer avatar and you want to make it personalized. You want to make it click worthy, something people are actually going to look at and click on. So in all of your ad content, do personalization as much as possible and utilize those audience segments to do different types of personalization. People who both know your brand and people who don't know your brand, right? You can be a little bit more, I guess, flamboyant, right? With those that potentially know your brand versus those that don't know your brand. But you want to talk to your specific customer audience at all times with personalization. So let's talk about some offers that I tend to see work really, really well for websites during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. The first of which being tiered discounts. So tiered discounts is, I think, a tried and true. Everyone has probably ran one at some point in time. It's basically you order X amount of dollars, you get X amount of discount, which is fantastic. It's something I definitely recommend during Black Friday. It increases your average order value immensely. So definitely something I want to see everyone running if possible. And this also works really, really well for people who have larger catalogs. Unfortunately, if you are somebody who only has one or two products within your catalog, tiered discounts aren't what I would typically go towards. Now, the second area here that I usually recommend is a flash sale. If you want to drive specific revenue in a very high volume, I would set up specific ad campaigns for flash sales and set one up specifically for your email marketing. These are going to be people who are the most likely to purchase. You're retargeting them. They are going to be your highest potential for buyers. You can set up an email marketing campaign to go out every single hour during the flash sale. Flash sales are a great, great way to encourage discounts. We even do some flash sales here at my Amazon guy for a lot of our a la carte orders and things like that, where essentially we say, hey, one day only, and it costs X dollars, right? And it always is a great way to try and introduce some discounts and whatnot. Email is the primary way to utilize flash sales because it's your highest potential customer lifetime value audience. And then finally, exclusive releases. Now, I've seen this actually works significantly well for many brands where they do specific limited time editions of their products during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Now, the only thing that I will say when it comes to exclusive releases or just even new releases is this aspect that this only really works again for those that have a very tailored brand and have a decent customer audience already. If you don't have any audience and you're a fairly unknown brand and you don't really have any email marketing to be able to do with this, then an exclusive release likely isn't the best option for you at the end of the day, but definitely something you still can look at in the future. We talked about all of the advertising, and I just lightly a minute ago touched on email, right? So email and SMS campaigns. So this is one of the bigger things that I think that direct consumer and websites have as a giant lever above anyone who's selling on any marketplace. And that's that you have a lot of opportunity to build up anticipation for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whereas on something like Amazon, for instance, you can't really do that. And so you can't build up the anticipation for a discount weeks ahead of time with people looking at your products. So here's what I typically recommend. So we've already talked about this 3 to 5 weeks out for planning. And so about 3 weeks out, I like to send out some teasers. This is basically letting people know ahead of time that you are going to be running discounts. You're just trying to get into the back of people's mind. You're trying to keep your brand awareness within people who know and have purchased from you alive and at the top of where it can be. And then, secondly, 1 week out, VIP access. This is going to be typically often an email campaign that you send out to people. And the idea behind a VIP access is that it's not really a VIP access. It's more like you're sending out to your entire group. Now, you know that what your click rates are, you know what your open rates are, and your reply rates. And so one of the major things here that you can tend to look at for VIP access is that you're giving it to your most loyal customers, people who are always opening your emails, people who are always clicking on your links. These are people that are super loyal at the end of the day. And so it's going to kind of give them that sense of, oh, I'm super loyal and now I'm a VIP. And so it's going to drive that potential purchase even higher from a conversion standpoint. Next, we have our BFCM weekend. It's the high frequency. I would encourage you, especially if you're going to do stuff like a flash sale, use SMS whenever you have it to just kind of build that urgency with people. Make sure they understand that, hey, we're only going to be running these discounts as long as we can. You know, we're running a flash sale for this hour. Here is this specific product that you added to your cart, and it's now on sale for 25% off. It's a great time for cart abandoners in general. And so I always want to encourage SMS during the actual event of Black Friday. And then finally, Cyber Monday, which is basically a hey, let's add this in. It's a great time for those cart abandoners from Black Friday to essentially send them another email, be like, hey, this is your last chance to get this discount, and essentially kind of elicit that FOMO feeling. And for those that don't know FOMO, it's feeling of missing out. They don't want to feel like they missed out on this opportunity. So it's a great time to just send out an email, give them the last chance opportunity to hop in there. And then finally, now we have made our way through Black Friday, Cyber Monday. You've optimized everything you can. You've gotten all the sales you possibly can. What do you do afterwards? The immediate follow-up. Send out some personalized emails, every single person. Say something easy along the lines of, hey, we appreciate your order during this time of blank product. We hope that, you know, everything blah, 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 whatever. The idea behind this is you're building that customer value. You're likely going to have a higher email list than you normally would have. Finally, on top of that, you are essentially trying to elicit more brand awareness, making people feel a little bit more personalized, more, again, VIP, so to speak, with your email marketing. And then finally, the long-term loyalty. This is going to be something where you now have your own customer audience within a customer audience, essentially. You get to see every single person who has bought on Black Friday, Cyber Monday from you. And so these are going to be people who, you know, if you ever run a discount in the future, going to be likely really, really good potentials to retarget and remarket towards. And so it's a really important thing that for keeping this customer audience segmentation for anybody who purchased during this time and anybody who even abandoned their cart during this time, just to be able to in the future essentially retarget and remarket them for any potential new programs or discounts you're going to be doing moving forward. That's all I got today.
But when they're done with this trading, what's the first action they should take?
The number one action that you should take after this is ensuring that your site is optimized. Make sure your site's optimized prior to making any changes. You need to get yourself a baseline, make sure that you understand how fast is your site running now. Because your site is already running slowly right now, you're killing your conversion before you even make any other changes to the site. So definitely optimize site. Second to that would be that customer audience segmentation. Make sure that you have all of your audience groups ready. Make sure you
Mhm.
have your email list ready as early as you possibly can. That you have every customer that you're going to be hitting from both an email and SMS standpoint tagged ahead of time.
That's awesome. And one of the things I would also love to remind people of is if you have a huge list, the numbers are big. If you have a small list, it's still impactful because at the end of the day, these are people, who have either expressed interest in your products that you're offering, or they've purchased your products. And the more you get into this routine of sending out to them, that snowball over time will grow and they'll start referring their friends. And as you get more customers, your list is bigger. So it's a good habit to get into good email marketing now. And with Black Friday, Cyber Monday coming up, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people who signed up for this probably got it through email.
Exactly. No, that's true. That's true. In fact, I was just looking, it was about 80+% of people, I believe, signed up through email. Some people were on our website and we had a banner there. So if some of the people watching are represented by that, we're super excited to have you, or if they came through social media. Now, in case folks are like wondering, which we'll get to some questions here in a minute. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them into the chat or the Q&A. And we do have a question from Barry's, which we'll get into here in a moment. But if you need additional help with all this, I mean, like this is a lot to figure out. The good news is we figure stuff out here at My Amazon Guy / mag growth. With that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So if you want to, have somebody on our team take a look at your store and give you some recommendations of things that you can do, and if it makes sense, potentially we work together, go to maggrowth.com /call mag, as in, for those of you who are familiar with My Amazon Guy, it's that, or short for magazine, more just for spelling purposes. So maggrowth.com /call. And I'll put that in the chat as well. And you can schedule a call with somebody on our team. And who knows, maybe Noah is the one that shows up to the call.
Entirely possible. Happens all the time.
Yes. All right. Well, good deal. So a question came in from Barry's. Is it possible to have a great Black Friday on Marketplace if you don't have any discounts?
I mean, yeah, you can still technically have a decent Black Friday. So the good part about Black Friday is that sales spike tremendously, and just shoppers in general spike tremendously online and in stores for that matter. And so you can still definitely see a higher than average daily sales rate during
Mhm.
Black Friday, Cyber Monday without a discount, but you're likely to not see as big of an impact as you would. You're not going to see, your numbers go up 100% compared to what you normally are seeing without any kind of discount.
Design is important, whether you're selling on Amazon or your own version of chubbies.com where you have your own store. So either way, it's important to have good design elements. The nice thing is that course is actually designed for people who are like me, who don't have an eye for design, to understand some basic design principles. So it's definitely super helpful. You don't have to come in and be like a Photoshop whiz or Adobe Illustrator whiz to get value out of it. One question I have: how do you make sure that it isn't just like all right, I got a big spike on my website on Black Friday, Cyber Monday from people who were, shopping around on the internet. Now what? Like, how do I continue that momentum to the rest of the holiday season and into the new year?
I think the biggest thing comes down to that remarketing and retargeting, especially
Mm.
towards like brain card banners, right? So people who already purchased on Black Friday, Cyber Monday were probably purchasing for that like specific intent. They are purchasers who are like, I wanted this specific discount. This is when I am buying it. The people who did a cart abandonment, a really great strategy that we tend to see all the time is this idea of 2 to 3 weeks out from that Black Friday, Cyber Monday, sending out an email again for those like FOMO people who did cart abandonment or anything like that, and be like, hey, it's not too late. We'll give you, 5% off, 10% off, whatever it is, to just kind of elicit that extra little juice and be like, hey, you didn't buy then. And so it tends to work out really, really well to do a lot of that retargeting and remarketing for people just because they probably did want to buy, they didn't. right? And then they're going to
Mm.
think, I probably should have bought this. And who knows that maybe they were buying a gift for their Uncle Brad, right? And, Uncle Brad still doesn't have a gift that he,
Mm.
you really feel comfortable with. It's always worth it at the end of the day to utilize those audiences and to kind of segment those people out, continuing that momentum into the new year, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point because if they're interested in a product, maybe they're abandoned carts on that product, they may still be interested in February and January and mid-December and even into next year, like next holiday season in
It's this
2026.
it's this idea of kind of like scoring people based on engagement, right? So, a lot of B2B businesses do lead scoring specifically on the idea and aspect of, how much have they engaged with us, but it works exceptionally well for B2C as well, just because the
Hmm.
aspect that if somebody went to your website 5 times, they entered their email once and they put a product in their cart, but they never checked out, right? That's somebody who was really, really engaged with your site and with your brand and is likely to purchase from you at some point in time in the future. And so understanding that like that is still something that people should be tracking. Great software out there
Hmm.
that, recommend as well for like site tracking is like Lucky Orange. That's a great one that I like
Mm.
using for Shopify sites. It integrates directly in. So encourage everyone to go and download that. Yeah, so it's one of those where being able to understand buyer intent as much as possible is super important.
Any other things you think people should really know about with their own website to, make sure that they get the most juice out of Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you kind of actually touched on it earlier when you were giving away the design course, right? This idea that design in general is really important around, especially just the holiday season in general. And so
Mm.
if you have a giftable product at all, conversion rates are boosted by having your designs retailored towards like Christmas and winter and
Hmm.
things like that. Even if like, yeah, maybe not everyone who's buying from you celebrates Christmas, and that's a huge thing. But at the end of the day, conversion rates and it shows the conversion rates increase when people have those simply because their products are giftable. And so people are now in that mindset. They're like, thinking about Christmas. And so somebody who may be on your site who wasn't initially on your site to try and find a product as a gift now has that in their mind of, oh, maybe I could buy this for so and so. And so there's a lot of psychology that goes into design work on websites and, not just websites, but marketplaces as well. And so it's
Hmm.
something I definitely encourage people to follow and update their designs. Don't just keep your stagnant, same website as always during Q4 or Black Friday, Cyber Monday, just because you do see definite conversion increases and benefits from updating that content to be more seasonal, so to speak.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, you could take your existing image, throw it into something like Canva, and have, a bow added to it. It doesn't have to
Yeah,
be
it
too
doesn't
over the
have to
top.
be like a major site
Right.
overhaul, right? You don't need to have snow trickling down when they come onto the site. It can be something super simple as, yeah, just a bow.
Yeah, and also there's tools like Nano Banana. Shout out to John Aspinall,
Oh no, don't give
who
them that.
yeah, exactly. And he's done some content on using Nano Banana to, if you have a model in a lifestyle image, like, maybe you could change that model to having like a Christmas sweater on or something like that, as opposed to like they were wearing a t-shirt and then you could swap it back. So it's like, little subtle touches like that don't have to be super expensive. They don't necessarily require a whole new photo shoot. So there's a lot you can do quickly, simply, and inexpensively these
Absolutely.
days. So yeah, all things that are good. So
AI has brought us many a place now.
yeah, exactly. Like it's come a long way. Like, there's still a lot of AI slop you see like on Facebook and stuff like that, but if you're intentional and you have the right prompts, you can get really good content, especially if you're talking about something relatively simple that you can do with AI to, whether it be, create an ad or, just help you, update some of your images relatively simply. Just a reminder, folks, if you would like us to take a look at your store and see if there's anything we can do to help you with it, we'd be more than happy to. maggrowth.com/call, and you can book a call with our DTC experts, our direct to consumer experts, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. With that, this was a short but impactful masterclass. And so, Noah, thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here and hope everyone in attendance or anyone watching this checks us out and need help. We're more than happy to help and reach out to us.